regular season football is basically a month away. Guess how many of the activities that you suggested I've done this offseason?
Oh, 0.
Yes.
Tremendous.
I mean, are you surprised?
No. What's the point of it anymore, Derek? I'm almost, you know what? Not even surprised. I'm offended. That's what I'm. That's what I am. I'm offended that you haven't done any of that stuff.
You shouldn't be that offended because I think one of them was to play golf with you, and I don't remember you ever said offering to play golf sometime.
No, never with me. It was just to get out there on your own.
Oh, never with me, by the way. No, I'm not. I'm not doing that.
No, it was more for your own benefit.
I thought it'd be a
I'm not
nice
gonna-
thing. We could hit the range together.
I'm not going to control your life.
How's that controlling my life?
We could. Let's do it. Let's hit the range together.
Okay. All right. Okay. Fine. We'll do that, and I'll check it off my list. I told you I was going to go snorkeling with my mom when I was in Florida. Never happened.
Yeah, I know. What were the other things I suggested?
I don't know. I was supposed to watch the F1 series like a year ago. Never did. I watched the movie. Does that count?
No.
No.
Although I'll tell you this: it's too late to watch the movie now, or the show now rather, because the two characters that are, I'd say, I'll say starring in the show, but they love the spotlight. The two guys, one being the driver Daniel Ricciardo, who everyone's heard of by now because of the show, and then the other is the very polarizing Red Bull team principal Christian Horner, who is like, the team principals are basically like the managers, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what they are for every team, and he's like the dick out of all of them, and he has no problem being that guy. He's married to Ginger Spice, big deal.
Ooh.
And he always comes off as kind of cool, but then when you see him speaking to the other team principals, it's no holds barred. He doesn't care what they think of him, and it's really entertaining. You always need a guy like that. But he got fired. So now there's the two people that are the main attractions of the show. They're not even a part of the sport anymore. So I think you're too late now, pal.
That's fine with me. I really wasn't, pining to watch the series. So
I know
no.
You haven't watched it, and I've told you to do it for like 3 years.
I don't know about 3 years, but it's been quite some time. Never get around to doing so. So we move on, and somehow, some way, I got through the majority of this NFL offseason, and I'll survive. And I'll also tell you this: I had it on the background. Didn't watch the Hall of Fame game that closely whatsoever.
Wow.
And I don't think I needed to. I'm sure you didn't either. I don't need to see Trey Lance. I know that some people get so excited, like we finally got football. The Hall of Fame game is here. Then you watch it for 5 minutes, and you're like, this isn't real football.
What, you mean you don't mean that it should prompt articles that wonder whether the 49ers fumbled the ball with Trey Lance at the starting quarterback?
If that actually became a talking point, who wrote that? Give me a name, damn it. Who actually wrote that?
Who do you think?
No. Grant?
Who? Yeah. Or it was at least part of the Sports Illustrated today.
Come on, bro.
I don't know if it was him. Yeah.
Yeah, that's some low-hanging fruit there.
So I turned it on to the beginning, mostly to see how Jessie would react when she walked in the door, because she hadn't come back home from work yet.
Yeah.
I had it on the split screen with I already forgot who the Valkyries were playing that night, but I had it on the split screen, the multi-view with
whoever they were playing, a green dildo was on the court.
Another dildo. Was it 2 games in a row now?
2 games in a row. I know that because Marcus Thompson tweeted out the Valkyries are 2-0 when they have a green dildo on the court, which prompted Xena Kata to be like, "Really, Marcus?"
Oh, so he that's good. He could tweet out about WNBA stuff while I heard you guys talking about it on the radio. He's doing track stuff in Oregon.
Yeah, I don't know why they signed him to that, but I think he likes doing it. But yeah, he's on the scene in Oregon covering track, and he's.
I was a little surprised when I looked at the headline on The Athletic about Sha'Carri Richardson getting arrested in some airport over some dispute with her boyfriend, and Marcus Thompson was the guy who wrote it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Marcus is well versed in WNBA and dildos on the court, and not a fan of the new Naked Gun coming out.
Oh, well, we'll get to that. But anyway, back to the original point.
Right.
I had the Valkyries on one half of the screen. I had the Chargers or whatever on the other half, and I knew
Come on, respect the matchup.
It was around the time I knew Jesse was going to come home, so I decided to make that game the big screen. Chargers Lions.
Mm-hmm.
Lance had just thrown the touchdown. Nice little touch pass to Will Dissly. And Jesse walks in, and immediately she's like, "No, no, no, no. I have 3 more weeks until regular football comes on. We are not putting it on Thursday. No, no." That was that.
Jesse, you have to realize you have your time with Steven. This is our time as football fans. No,
Yeah.
I can't in good conscience say that to a married woman. No, this is not going to fly. You'll realize that now you'll probably watch less football than you ever did in your life.
Her reaction to Christmas Day games on a Saturday, she's like, "I deal with this shit on Thursday night. I'm good Sunday. Sunday's fine. But Monday night, are you telling me there's a game on a Tuesday?
Yes.
And on a Saturday?"
I mean, I think that Jesse and all women need to realize that the NFL doesn't care about you.
Wow. That's brutal. You know what? They're probably listening to this right now out on the talking. I guarantee it. Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah. Just your opinion, man. Stephen Langford, Derek Papa, we're coming to you on a Sunday morning. We will talk about the latest in football and basketball with John the Kaminga. Good Lord. A little baseball as the Giants are going right now. They are losing 1-0, but we'll talk about mainly what they did or did not do at the trade deadline. Before we get into all of the sports stuff, real quick, I want to address the elephant in the room. Yeah, everybody knows the news by now. It came out on Friday morning. My father is going to step away from broadcasting for some time to deal with his cancer diagnosis. And I just want to say thank you to everybody that reached out to him and to me. It was a very overwhelming day for me to have to talk about it and for it to come out. But I just want to say that first and foremost, thank you to everybody. And it's not lost on me that obviously my dad's a very well-known person in the Bay Area, but there's a lot of people that have to deal with their parents or loved ones having cancer all the time, and no one ever knows about it. No one ever reaches out to them. So I'm just thinking about those people. Again, I'm very grateful for everybody that contacted me, but I'm not the only one. There's people that deal with that all the time and have to put a smile on their face and act like everything's okay. So, to go into more detail, really, I wasn't allowed to say this on the show on Friday. I'm still technically, obviously, an employee of Cumulus, so I can't divulge health stuff with my father while I'm on the radio. So just to give everybody the details, my father has leukemia. And right now I can't even visit him. He's in the hospital, isolated by himself. They're worried about his white cell count. So once that goes back up, I believe they'll release him from the hospital, and then we can visit him at the house. And it will be a long road for recovery and everything. But yeah, no, we're not looking forward to it, obviously, but it will be a process, and I will visit him as much as I can, and hopefully everything will go well. But thank you to everybody that have been reaching out to me. Thank you.
Yeah, of course, and also, I mean, I know obviously there's a lot of other people dealing with this stuff, but there's no doubt that your dad helped connect, generations of families with, whatever it is he's done, whether it's Warriors, A's, Raiders, 49ers, I guess Giants pre and post, if you want to count that too. So like, I don't know. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, like, he's definitely done a lot for the community of sports fans in the Bay Area. So rightfully so, he got an overwhelming amount of support and people, reaching out and all that. I have a question though. Whose idea was it to play the San Fran Seaman call on Friday?
Yeah, if you heard me on Friday, I talked for a little bit of time about how our family history and cancer and whatnot, and unfortunately my uncle Gary Papa, who was a legend in Philadelphia, lost his life to cancer back in 2009. So it's a scary situation. I had to think about it later in life for me. My father idolized my uncle Gary, so this hits home, quite a bit for him. But I talked about how, even though I joke about my dad all the time on Dirty Work and this show, I love him very much. And I just want him to be alive. So whenever he gets back on the mic, we'll take our time with that. And at the end, yeah, I ended it with I can't wait to hear him say this once again. And it was his classic San Fran Seaman. Yeah, that was my idea, Steven. Got to bring some levity to the situation.
I know. It's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, everybody deals with things a certain way. I'm
Right.
gonna laugh. I'm gonna joke. You may hear me do some dark riffs on this show and on Dirty Work, and just know, like, you can groan at that or whatever, but just know, like, that's my way of coping with it. So we all have our own ways
Right.
of dealing with things. So I love my father. He's gonna pull through, and I at the same time I hear you, Steven. I appreciate you saying that. I think about people.
Yeah.
Obviously, like I have time with my father right now, and I look forward to many more years I have with my father. But I am thinking about, obviously, friends of mine that have lost their fathers in recent years. Of course, you and Alexander Scott, Elena Madsorkis, Daniel Ogden. So I always think about that stuff and put it in perspective. And there's still plenty of time with my father, and he's definitely going to beat this thing.
Yeah, no, totally. Very classy move of the 49ers to release a statement and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, heartbreaking, to be honest, but
Yeah.
Obviously we'll push through it. We'll keep doing the podcast and whatnot, and you just gotta stay strong for your dad, as I'm sure you will.
I will, and I'll give you guys updates when I get them, and once I see my father and he's back home, I will let you guys know. Alrighty, let's talk about some very important sports. So we obviously didn't do the podcast last Wednesday. That's kind of when I found everything out, so I wanted to take a night off and whatnot. But while that was happening, I think Adam Schefter went on McAfee and gave the reason why Christian Wilkins, not why he was released. Obviously, the big thing was the injury, but there was Josina Anderson brought up some rumor that was going around where something happened with a teammate, and we acknowledged it last time. But then Adam Schefter on McAfee said the thing that everybody's dancing around is that Christian Wilkins kissed a teammate on the forehead in a playful manner, and that offended the player. And they went to HR and everything. And my first reaction was, that's probably not it. And also, even if it is it, that's not crazy. I've been around locker rooms. So have you, Steven. I've seen some shit in high school locker rooms. Kissing a dude on the forehead is tame, in my opinion. So if that's what prompted this whole thing, I'm calling bullshit on that. Adam Butler was asked about it the next day at Raiders training camp, and he was kind of saying, you never know what guys are dealing with. So I think there's something bigger there with Christian Wilkins, but let's not act like Christian Wilkins was released because he kissed a dude on the forehead and he didn't like it in the tune of Katy Perry. That's not what happened. What happened was he didn't want to get surgery, and the team thought that he was kind of being, I don't know, just going against what they wished and, not trying to get to playing immediately. So that's what happened. It's not because he kissed a dude on the forehead.
Right. It's a little too much. Like, kissing a guy on the forehead is, I don't know why that would even needed to be added. Like, I think that was just some newsbreakers trying to report some form of a scoop that they had there, because not getting surgery is too boring, I guess, for them. I don't really understand the whole point of that. It reminded me so much of Remember the Titans, and I'm so glad someone
Sunshine,
posted
right?
it. Yeah, when Sunshine tried kissing Gary on the lips, or he did kiss Gary on the lips.
Yeah.
And then obviously the fight ensued, and then you realize, ooh, Sunshine's got moves. So it reminded me so much of that. And that was worse. What happened to Remember the Titans? Oh, peck on the forehead?
Yeah, I know.
I don't know. Like, I mean, I think was Adam Butler talking about Wilkins there, or was he talking about the guy who has a problem with someone kissing his forehead?
I think he was talking about Wilkins. I think this is more than just Wilkins being insubordinate with the team. I think it's just him. Something's up there. Maybe we'll get more details. Like I said, maybe Hondo writes a bunch of bullet points about what actually transpired in the locker room. But Yeah, Mike Florio also seems to think that Adam Schefter was doing a solid for Wilkins' agent by saying coming up with a kissing story that actually didn't happen. Truth be told, I really don't care. Just bottom line is Christian Wilkins isn't on the team anymore, and I do believe the fact that he didn't want to get surgery again, and the team's like, you kind of need to in order to get healthy again, and he's not doing it, and now he's going to
Yep.
be. He probably won't be signed for the rest of the season because he's not going to be healthy for quite some time. So it's an
Yep.
unfortunate situation, but I'm not making a big deal over the kissing scandal that was Christian Wilkins.
No, I think that's just a little footnote on what's really going down this season. It seems
Yeah.
like hopes are it seems like spirits are high, regardless of this Christian Wilkins thing.
I would agree. And also, we were talking about, I think earlier in the offseason, about Colton Miller and his contract situation, and they signed him. He doesn't, reset the market or anything because Rashawn Slater probably has been more of a proven player of late. But Colton Miller gets a 3-year, $66 million deal with 42 guaranteed. So he will be protecting Geno's blind side for the foreseeable future.
Yep. Really till the end of Geno's tenure as a Raider.
Yeah.
But good for them, man. Like, I kind of forgot that was even a thing.
Colton Miller? Yeah, so did I.
It's funny how, if you don't talk about it, you could forget about it, and it's really not that big of a deal. It's amazing how that works out, huh?
Yeah, no, it is. I think we make mountains out of molehills these days with a lot of the topics we talk about.
Totally. I mean, especially contracts, though. That's the big thing.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get into it. Like the guys that demanded trades, I don't think it's that big of a deal. But of course, when you're dealing with the Cowboys, it's going to be national news. But first and foremost, just to stay on Raiders a little bit, I wanted to play this clip of Rams training camp with Sedano and Cap. It's a show in L.A. If the clip will play, here we go. Okay, hang on one second. So I think you and I have kind of given Davantae Adams the benefit of the doubt a lot on this podcast because we thought that he was kind of led astray a little bit of like what was going to happen with the show. Or sorry, not the show. The show of the Raiders, the shit show that was the Raiders, but just the team. He came in with the intention of playing with Derek Carr, and then Josh McDaniels changed it on him, and that happens all the time in sports. You think you're playing with a guy one season, and then things change, but they never really did anything to make him feel like they were actually competing. So I get him being frustrated. He obviously didn't get along with Jimmy Garoppolo. And that was evident in the Netflix show. We talked about it, quite a bit this time a year ago, where Davantae, there's a clip of him on the sideline saying, I need to get the fuck out of here. I'm playing for my fucking life every week. I get banged up. And you can take that as an insult towards Josh McDaniels and the offense, or you can take it as an insult with Jimmy Garoppolo, with him kind of sending or throwing balls to him where he gets laid the fuck out. And then Davante's honest and said, I played a role in Jimmy getting benched. I did not want him being my quarterback anymore. So when Matthew Stafford's out for a little bit of time with a back injury, and I say a little bit of time, but now it's like every week they say like he's not going to be around, which is kind of alarming. But now Jimmy Garoppolo is the backup quarterback with the Rams. And then, of course, I'm surprised this is the first time Davante's being asked about it. And he discusses Jimmy Garoppolo being his quarterback once again. Come on. Come on. I've been noticing this clip now. It's hard to play. Hold on. Can I forward ahead? It literally. There we go.
Little did we know that you'd be playing with Jimmy G again, right?
Yeah.
Based on that series. Mm-hmm. How's that?
It's amazing. I love Jimmy, and it was never a personal thing. And I was hoping we didn't have to have.
God damn it.
I'm surprised this is the first time it's been brought up, but it's been amazing. We got to, catch up and get on the right page. And obviously that was just a dark moment in all of our lives. I think all of us were pretty miserable over there, and we kind of caught up and laughed about it. And we've been making plays since we've been out here, so it's been fun.
Okay. So after Davantae left the Raiders, he would always kind of make little jabs on the Kay Adams show, where he would basically be like, like the record was the same as the Raiders. Like they would be like 4-8, whatever it was, and Davantae would be like, well, it looks a certain way with that team as it does with Rodgers right now. So basically saying like, I don't want to play with Aiden O'Connell, I don't want to play with Gardner Minshew, just throwing shade at the Raiders. And that's when you and I were like, Davantae, you got to move on, bro. Like you're gone. You got what you wanted. Just focus on, maybe you're really bad at making decisions. Like first and foremost, you were bad at deciding to leave the Packers to go play for the Raiders. Then you made a terrible decision leaving the Raiders to go to the Jets. It sounded good on paper. Don't blame you, but it was the same outcome. And now you want to go to the Rams to play with Matthew Stafford, and Stafford's hurt. So now you got to play with Jimmy. The part I think that irks Raiders fans is now he's acting like me and Jimmy were cool the whole time. No, you weren't. No, you weren't. You didn't like him. You didn't like him as a quarterback. So you're dealing with it now because the potential of Stafford is so much better. But don't make it like revisionist history now and be like, no. It wasn't anything with Jimmy. It was the Raiders organization. It was a shit show. No, Jimmy was playing awful, and you were upset about it. Don't act like we were miserable. Jimmy had a terrible time with Josh McDaniels. Josh McDaniels is his boy. So, I think that's lame of Davantae to act like we were so miserable with the Raiders. You might have been, but that doesn't mean anything when it comes to Jimmy Garoppolo. Just be honest about it. Be like, yeah, we had our differences, but now I'm making the best out of it with, Jimmy filling in for the time being until Stafford's healthy.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, sure, I mean, of course you were miserable over there. I don't think any player would disagree that they were miserable at the same time because they just didn't have any direction. They were going all over the place, and Adams was at the center of it. But you can't act like Jimmy wasn't part of that miserability. Like you can't think of is that the word?
I make up words all the time. I'm not gonna correct.
Yeah, I don't even know. But like you can't sit there after that Netflix show and act like Jimmy wasn't part of the problem for you. He absolutely was. You're talking directly at the player to get you the ball, or the fact that he's throwing hospital balls for you and you're getting crushed. It's going to be the same thing with the Rams. And I think he's going to regret those words later. Not regret them, but I think he's going to eat those words later because, again, I don't have any problem with him dissing the Raiders of the past. I really don't. But to not – this Jimmy thing is just – that's too much. That's stepping over the line to where it's like, okay, you could diss the team and where they were all you want. That's fine. But to act like Jimmy wasn't killing whatever hopes and dreams you had of becoming a star wide receiver for your hometown team, come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. And, I think I'm just over just him talking shit about the Raiders. Like,
well, I mean, that's fine. I mean, he was asked about it, right? Like,
I guess so.
So he's not just like the other times it seemed unprompted, but this one it seemed like he was asked about it and his time there. And so again, I don't blame him for feeling that way, but I think he's going to remember, and it's going to be a tough memory when he's getting cracked over the middle of the field on a 10-yard slant. I think he's going to remember, oh yeah. Whew. This was tough.
Yeah, I mean, he has to say the right things now because he may have to have Jimmy be his quarterback for quite a bit of time. But I guess the expectation is Stafford will be good by week 1. But the more and more this happens, the more I'm like, this kind of harkens back to 2022, right after they won the Super Bowl, where I was downplaying the elbow thing, and then it was a major factor come regular season where he was just lollipopping balls. So, I think that Davante's, he has to talk up his quarterback, but it's just bullshit. Like we know how much you hate Jimmy Garoppolo, and you weren't thinking about the backup quarterback situation when you signed with the Rams because Stafford's the closest thing to playing with Aaron Rodgers at this point. So you were good with that with the veteran quarterback, and now, if he has to play regular season games with Jimmy, he'll probably remember like, God, I fucking hate this.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, but you know what? Hopefully Stafford's okay because I do want Stafford to be healthy. I think Stafford's one of the best, and that would suck to see him kind of at he's 37 now.
Yeah.
It would suck to see him at his age 37 season just limping to the finish line. Don't want to see that.
No, don't want to see that either. And I think that McVay's just being overly cautious with him right now. But
hope so.
Yeah, I mean, that would be huge for the 49ers if the season starts and Matthew Stafford's not good to go. But we got a month away from the season. So I do believe that Stafford will be fine by then. I think they just don't want him getting hit in practice. And he's an older player now. He doesn't want to fuck up his back.
Yeah.
You wanted to bring up real quick Devin White with the Raiders.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was interesting because you mentioned that Adam Butler press conference with Christian Wilkins. Well, speaking
Yeah.
that same day was Pete Carroll and Devin White. And I guess I'll preface it by saying, did you see the Mooney Ward stuff from the Colts?
Yes, with
Yeah.
with our good friend Mike Silver.
Obviously, like what happened with his daughter, and he was just so broken up about it. Like he just didn't care what happened on the football field, right? Like he wasn't focused on football, and there's no fault to him for that. Devin White went through something similar when he was with the Buccaneers. Now, last year with the Eagles, it was injuries that shortened his season. But before that, he was in the same place. He basically said in the press conference that his dad, who he didn't really have too much of a relationship with, his dad was incarcerated, and they were kind of off and on with their relationship. But his dad ended up passing away a couple of years after the Super Bowl. And at that point, he was just done. Like he didn't care. At one point, he even thought of retiring, and because of all he's accomplished, and he's like, I'm good. I don't need to play anymore. But then, like he, spoke with like his mom, and she gave him this. She had this conversation with him, which was very convincing. She's like, no, football is what you do. Like this is you, and it was just a long conversation apparently, and he is coming back, and now he's running with the ones in training camp and at OTAs. It's him and Landon Roberts who are the two starters. And then you have him talking about that and how he's pretty much feeling rejuvenated for football. Like he's re-energized. He feels like he's back to where he was all along. But then I totally lost the video. I got to pull it up again. Hopefully I find it. Then there was Pete Carroll. And I'll just say this too randomly. Pete Carroll will get you fired up in a press conference.
Oh, yeah.
That dude, watching the last one, it's crazy. But about Devin White, he essentially said, look, he's back.
Playing different spots and all, very comfortable moving him around. And we're seeing that also out of Devin. Devin has a great playmate today now. Yeah, but he had probably 2 or 3 of the best plays on practice yesterday as well. He's back. He was on top of the world a few years ago, and then things kind of just didn't work out one reason or another. And he's back in action now. And he came up to me and said, "I'm all in now." And he was dead serious in how he said it.
So I don't know. I think a comeback story for Devin White is something that I think we need to keep track of.
Okay. I mean, I was kind of downplaying it, and I don't even know, if he was going to make the team or not. But the way that Pete Carroll's talking him up, I mean, he talks everybody up. He was saying that his secondary reminds him of the legendary Legion of Boom crew. So, but if Devin White's coming back rejuvenated, then I think that he could have a resurgence the same way that Jamal Adams. And it sounds like they're not going to play him at safety. He would be a linebacker, and which I think that would be much more appropriate for where he's at in his career right now. So, whatever happens with the Raiders, I mean, they need all the help they could get now with Christian Wilkins being released, and need more leadership on that defensive side of the ball. So, yeah, if Devin White's good to go, then that will definitely improve their chances of being a good team this year.
Yeah, I'm really getting my hopes up on Ashton Genty. Like,
yeah,
the way they're talking him up has Offensive Rookie of the Year written all over it. Like,
yeah,
it really does. And I mean, it's up to the offensive line. Apparently, the offensive line it's not going as expected. Thought Jackson Powers Johnson would be immediately the starting center, but apparently he's in a little training camp battle with Jordan Meredith right now, the guy who played guard for them last year. Now he's battling for the starting center spot, and they had their practice in Vegas, and I think it was I can't remember who the left guard was, but it was Colton Miller, obviously, and then Jordan Meredith starting at center, and Jackson Powers Johnson at right guard, and then DJ Glazer at right tackle.
That's interesting. Okay, I would have just thought it was a foregone conclusion that Jackson Powers Johnson would be the starting center again.
No, there's still a battle going on.
Interesting. Okay, well, yeah, I mean, As far as Genty, yeah. Like if the Raiders are going to have success this season, it's all predicated on that guy probably being offensive rookie of the year. Like
Yeah.
they will run through him, and that will benefit Gino with the play action fake and throwing deep to Jacoby Myers, who I guess is in contract talks right now as well. But along with Brock Bowers. But
Well,
yeah,
with that, like there's a lot of talk about how they're going to run a lot of 12 personnel. They did the
Yeah.
most last year, but they're going to have it way more involved in the passing game. Like Michael Mayer's getting a lot of targets at practice right now,
Good.
and obviously you mentioned Jacoby Myers. Like with him at number one as the number one receiver, like you don't really have a ton of depth at the position. I guess like Dante Thornton and Jack Besh haven't really assimilated great to Geno Smith as the quarterback. So there's a lot of work to be done there. I think we're going to see a lot of two tight ends working on the field this one. And Chip Kelly did a lot of that at Ohio State. So there you go.
No, I mean that's the way it should be with the limited wide receiver room. And I do
Yeah.
believe that you're hearing that Keenan Allen visited with the Chargers, and that seems like a good reunion there, given Mike Williams retired over the summer right when they went to training camp. So I would assume that Keenan Allen probably goes back to the Chargers, which limits the amount of wide receivers that are going to be out there. I still think Amari Cooper back to the Raiders would be interesting, but if they're comfortable with their wide receivers, and we'll see in the preseason, we got, next weekend will be the start of preseason games. We'll see how they look, but I wouldn't put it past the Raiders who will get a veteran wide receiver. But yeah, dude, like this will be all ground and pound. This will be defense. I'm bullish on the Raiders. I think that when we break down these divisions, I think they're going to be better than a lot of people would give them credit for this season. They may not have as much talent as in recent years, like the 2022 season. Obviously, on paper, it looked like they were going to be a playoff team coming off of a playoff season prior to that. But yeah, I do think that they can make some noise. Now, are they going to win a bunch of games like Pete Carroll said? I don't know about a bunch, but more than 4, yeah.
Yeah, definitely more than 4.
Yeah,
I think so. Now, there's going to be a lot of interesting things to keep an eye on, but I think that offensive line thing is going to be the biggest battle going into the regular season, if anything.
Yeah. As far as the rest of the NFL, the big talking points right now are the contract hold-ins or holdouts or trade requests, how you want to categorize it. And we weren't around last week to react to Trey Hendrickson. He showed up to Bengals training camp just to hold in. And that's a smart move these days where guys are getting fined $50,000 a day, where it's like, why would I put up with that shit? So I'm just going to show up to camp and I won't get fined. I'll just, go to the meetings and, take notes. But when it comes to actually participating in drills, I'm not taking that risk. So Trey Hendrickson's there and he's helping out with Shamar Stewart. And it sounds like he needs as much help as he can get because he's behind the 8 ball quite a bit, Shamar Stewart. And then it sounds like with everything with Trey Hendrickson, it's just a matter of the guaranteed money. They know what he wants AAV-wise. So out of the 3 situations, Terry McLaurin, Micah Parsons, Trey Hendrickson, that one sounds the least hectic right now, which is surprising given the Bengals and their past.
I don't get what the holdup is, though. I don't get what the holdup is on the hold-in.
With
What's
Trey?
the holdup on the hold-in?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of the guaranteed money. They're sticklers. They don't want to guarantee past this season. And he wants at least 2 years guaranteed. So, yeah, that's just the norm these days. I think that what you're seeing in Mike Brown and Jerry Jones is just, older guys that are stuck in their ways that have been doing business a certain style for many, many decades. And now they're not going to adjust to today's NFL. Case in point, what's going on with the Cowboys? Micah Parsons requested a trade. At first, like Diana Rossini had a whole report about how he may do something drastic, and I was like, until he requests a trade, how drastic could it be? And then Friday morning, he writes a whole book about how the back and forth with him and Jerry, how he wanted to sign a deal at the Combine. Jerry tried to strong arm him into a deal. It sounds like Jerry does this a lot with players in his career, where there was a clip going around of, I think it was a Football Life, where Jerry Jones and Bill Parcells sit in a room with Tony Romo and get really close to him to the point where he's in a chair, like one of those school chairs, and he's stuck in between them. And they're like, so we want you to sign this contract right now. And Tony's like, I don't want to sign it right now. That's kind of how Jerry Jones does things, where he wants to sit down with players and be like, how much you love being a Cowboy? You want to be a leader? And that is pretty much the framework for a contract. And then he's like, all right, good. We don't need agents to get in the middle of this. And it's like, yeah, we do actually. So that's what's happening right now with Micah Parsons, where
Yeah,
Jerry Jones.
that's where Micah Parsons lost me. Like
With
that
what?
part of the article where essentially he said, yeah, they had talks with Jerry Jones back in March. They thought they had an agreement done. Micah Parsons didn't think that was the case. Then the agent went back to negotiate further. Then they said, no, we're not
Yeah.
going to do that. And then they kind of ghosted him since. I thought to myself, Micah, that's partly on you, man. Like you got to, anytime you're negotiating, always do that with an agent.
Yeah.
Like that's with any company. If you have representation, if you have, I don't know, a union to fall back on, which is kind of in shambles right now for the NFL, I guess. But
Yep.
if you have an agent, you negotiate with that agent. You plead the fifth when you're
Yeah.
talking contracts with the team owners. You don't do that. Like, I'm sorry, you don't. Like, I want to side with the player at all times, but if you're gonna go in and have those conversations, you got to be careful. You
No,
really got to be careful. You got to be careful.
I agree. I do think that Micah, he has a lot of leverage. For what it sounds like, though, they were just talking about how he's going to proceed forward as a leader of the team. So maybe that includes like less podcasts and him showing up at training camp. Micah Parsons did all the right things this offseason. And then now, he has a back injury, which, probably the smart move would be to hold in, which I guess he's doing right now, or not even show up to begin with. But maybe it was the wrong move to even just talk to Jerry Jones one-on-one without his agent. But then again, I think he was just kind of tricked into having that conversation where he thought he was just talking about him as a player, and then it turned into contract negotiations. And now,
Right.
Now they're treating Micah Parsons like he's, some behind the scenes, guy that works at a radio station. Now he's given a contract for the first time. I'm not talking about anybody in particular. Nobody. But yeah, always have an agent present. That's my advice to everybody.
Yeah. So the thing with the Cowboys, whatever, I think they're going to pay him ultimately.
Yeah, they will.
This thing is going to drag out to the end of training camp possibly, but I don't think any team is going to be willing to give up whatever the Cowboys would want in a trade package. And just because you make a trade request, Myles Garrett, it doesn't mean it's going to happen.
No.
Though, like you're talking of the three, I think I think the Scary Terry thing is real. I really do. And I think it's because it seems like such an obvious decision for them to actually sign him to a new contract. Like, why wouldn't you? You're going out with Deebo Samuel as your supposedly top option, and in your wide receiver core. Yeah, that ain't gonna work. But if they haven't signed him, and it seems like they have the cap space to do it, then there's got to be something else at play to where it's like, does Cliff Kingsbury think he can pull off a Kyle Shanahan and not need a number one receiver as long as you got Deebo Samuel around in your offense? Does Adam Peters think that way? I'm very curious with that one more than any of the others.
Yeah, I would say out of the three, that one seems like the most likely to end in a trade, but it shouldn't, because I think that's so stupid to do given what happened a year ago.
Right.
So Terry McLaurin, he showed up to training camp earlier last week, and he says he has an ankle injury, that's the phantom one, just because he doesn't want to practice at PUP. And then he basically, he requested a trade. And everything that's coming out of the Commanders camp or side of things is that they just don't see him as a 30-a-year contract type of wide receiver. Like I said, last podcast, I guess, it's just a philosophical thing when it comes to Adam Peters. He comes from the John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan school of thought, where they really didn't want to pay Brandon Ayuk $30 million a year. So if they can negotiate a way to Terry McLaurin to be like, yeah, we're not doing that. We're not that type of team. Now they can do that because they have a quarterback on a rookie salary. And really, Terry McLaurin, Like I know he's going to be 30, and you could say probably his trajectory is he's probably not going to be the same guy that he was last year. But if you're the number one guy, I think you're only going to benefit from Deebo Samuel being there. So, and I think he had a career year, in my opinion. It may not been his best season when it comes to catches and yards, but as far as touchdowns, I think it was the first time he ever had double digits. And he was a factor in those postseason games. I think he had a touchdown in every single postseason game the Commanders played in this season. I mean, I remember the huge play he had at the end of the, right when there's little time left in the game against the Cowboys, and he catches a touchdown. The only thing that happened was they missed the PAT. He was basically the guy. He was Jaden Daniels' binky. He was the guy that he was relying on him most of the season, and he had other wide receivers, but he's the guy. So I think it's kind of stupid. I don't know if Adam Peters is that good of a general manager, to be honest. Like you can, it's easy to draft Jaden Daniels. I don't know about the other guys that they picked up. They picked up a lot of older guys in Austin Eckler and Laramie Tunsil, Deebo Samuel. And these moves might pan out to get veteran players, like they just signed Von Miller a couple of weeks ago. But I don't know if there's going to be I don't know if there's, I think those guys may be past their prime. And I have no idea if they're going to, impact the team as far as them being successful this season. And also, he overpaid for who's the guy with the Niners back in the day, the defensive tackle?
Javon Kinlaw.
Javon Kinlaw. He definitely overpaid for him this offseason. Now, when it comes to this, I think it's easy just to say if I'm looking at the other wide receivers in football and Garrett Wilson gets 32.5 and DK Metcalf gets 33 a year, yeah, I think Terry McLaurin has an argument to say I should probably be right there. Whether it's 32.5 or right there with DK, I probably deserve that. So if they're just like, Terry, we love you, but we don't value you at that rate, then he'll be like, all right, well, send me someplace that will. And I'm sure there'll be a bunch of teams that would be willing to pay him $33 million a year.
I'm not going to go to the point yet where I start thinking Adam Peters might not be good at this job. But if he doesn't get this deal done, that is glaring. Yeah. That is glaring. Because don't forget, he was also in the 49ers front office when, Trey Lance was taken third overall. Like, I'm sure he had a little bit of a say in that when it seemed like Kyle Shanahan didn't really want to. I do think the question marks will start to surface if they can't get this deal done, because this, out of all three of them, this seems like the one that is like the slam dunk. Yeah, the Commanders need him. Like the Cowboys need Micah Parsons, sure, but the Cowboys have a bunch of other problems. Like their offense. I don't know what their offense is going to. I don't think their offense is going to be very good this year. I know CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, and we're all high on them, but I just think we're trending to another division round loss for Dallas, unless they get the deal done with Micah. But with the Terry McLaurin thing, it's just, he's your wide receiver. He's been there since 2019. He has helped establish an identity for your squad. He's been the guy that everyone knows. Pay the man, reward him. It really would be kind of a stain on Adam Peters' resume if he can't get this deal done.
I would say so. And I think that it's just a matter of that they're going to stick to their guns. But yeah, I think that it's easy to just give him a deal right now. And then if he starts to decline as a player, you could easily just release him when it's time to give Jaden Daniels a contract. So to make everybody happy and to keep your Super Bowl aspirations high, just go for it. Like give him, a 3-year deal. And if it's 32 a year, if it's 33 million a year, I think that's the luxury of having a quarterback on a rookie salary. You can get by with that. And then when you have to pay the other guy, then you can make a move. But yeah, don't get caught up in your philosophical ways of, well, I don't believe in paying a wide receiver $30 million a year. A lot of teams are doing that these days, and he's worth it. If believe me, like James Cook is talking about reportedly that he wants to be paid just as much as Saquon, and I think that's ridiculous. I'm not always going to be pro player in every situation. Sometimes these players have just visions of grandeur when it comes to their play and what they deserve as far as a contract. But Terry McLaurin deserves this. He's not a demonstrative wide receiver. He's pretty soft-spoken. He's not a diva. And the fact that he put up with so much crap for so many seasons with lesser quarterbacks, and now he has one, and now they don't want to pay him, I can find that frustrating for him.
I agree. Well put.
But as far as Micah and both trade requests, like I don't think it matters. Like really, like I know it's headline news when these guys' agents reach out to Adam Schefter or Ian Rappaport and say they want out of there, and it's like, well, they want a trade request, and then of course immediately the sports talk radio nature is, well, what could you get in return? What teams would be willing to trade for these guys? And the truth is, this is not the NBA. Like, you are right, Stephen. I kind of push back on this, but if Giannis or Kevin Durant ask for a trade, it's going to happen. That's just the way that, for whatever reason, NBA teams cater to the superstars. In the NFL, how many trade requests have happened in the last few years where nothing happens? Miles Garrett, Lamar Jackson, Debo requested a trade. Ayuk requested a trade.
Bosa.
Bosa.
Bosa never request. Did Bosa request a trade?
No, he didn't. But
sorry, I got a little off topic there.
No, but it's a negotiating tactic. It's part of it, and for whatever reason, I listened to Jerry Jones yesterday talk about it, and he just reminds me of Al Davis, where he's just saying the wrong things right now, and someone needs to intervene and be like, Jerry, you sound like an idiot right now. And he's stuck in his old man ways, but immediately they ask him, like, what do you think about Micah requesting a trade? He's like, I don't think much of it. I don't think Cowboys fans should lose sleep over this. And he wants to request a trade as much as he has a bad back. Like, he's still calling him out. Like, he said numerous times yesterday when he's talking to the media that, Micah has a bad back, insinuating that he doesn't have a bad back. And that's different than him calling him out a couple weeks ago where he was like, well, he missed 4 games last season. So he's, basically he's talking on both sides of his mouth, where he paid CeeDee Lamb a year ago, he paid Dak Prescott a year ago, and now for whatever reason, the whole narrative with Micah when it comes to Jerry Jones is, well, now we have a player that has a contract, and now he wants to get rid of that contract and start going with a different contract, and that's not how you do business. And it's like, yeah, it is. You do it all the time. Players on expiring deals, they re-up a year before they go into free agency. It happens all the time. So Jerry just doesn't want to deal with his agent for whatever reason. He likes the old school mentality of talking to the player and be like, okay, we worked it out. We don't need agents involved in this crap. It only fucks things up. No. And I think this is all just ridiculous nonsense. I think at the end of the day, come September, Micah Parsons will probably get like $45 million a year and get like ridiculous guaranteed money and be the highest paid defensive player in football with the Cowboys.
You'll see him suiting up in number 11 in no time. I guarantee it.
Yep. And by the way, just something Jerry Jones said yesterday too that I thought was ridiculous. He always brings up old things that have nothing to do with right now. He talks about how I like to trust agents, but I remember back in the day I was doing Des Bryant's contract with Jay-Z, and Jay-Z told me that he was doing business on the streets, and nobody would show up late for his business when he was dealing drugs. And I said, well, I appreciate that. And I like to have the same mentality when it comes to football. So then when Des Bryant would show up late, I couldn't get a hold of Jay-Z. And now Jay-Z or Rock Nation had to release a statement this morning saying that never happened. We never told Jerry Jones that. And every time he called, we pick up the phone. So it's just ridiculous.
I haven't heard that yet,
but
I need to.
Yeah, it's insane. It's insane. And like even at the same time, like Clarence Hill, who's a very well-respected Dallas journalist, is like, what does that have to do with anything right now, Jerry? And he's like, well, I'm just giving you an example. You asked me, right? You asked me. I'm telling you.
The only interview I've heard was Stephen Jones on 105.3 The Fan, the station in Dallas. I got to give the host the host in Dallas credit. Like, he was going in on questions, just different angles about the trade request, like asking if they're threatened by him and different things like that. And Stephen Jones was kind of just laughing it off. And it's just the quote that he had, and I think it's one that Diana Rossini wrote, so I had to go watch it.
Mm-hmm.
But he's like, we don't drag deals out. We don't do any of that. I'm like, God, you sound just like your dad.
Yeah, you do. And and also, like, the dumbest thing, like Stephen Jones said earlier this week, was when, like, you trying to get a deal done with Micah? Yeah, we're trying to get a deal done with Micah. He has to want to get paid, though. Well, of course he wants to get paid. What a ridiculous thing to say.
Yeah, I don't know, like, if there's anything that appealing to playing for the Cowboys outside of being the former America's team. Like, I
Yeah.
really don't. Like, why would anyone want to play for an ownership group like that?
I mean, that documentary is coming out in a couple weeks, America's Game on Netflix, and it just sounds like just ridiculous propaganda where it's like
Oh, yeah.
no one feels that way anymore. Yes, they garner a ton of attention. Like, there's a reason why First Take and all these shows talk about the Cowboys ad nauseum, because the metrics tell you that the ratings do well when you talk about that team. Absolutely. But as far as the respect, no,
Yeah.
it does not get that anymore. Not for
Yeah.
a long time.
Mhm.
Yeah. By the way, we didn't bring this up. Where are you today, Steven?
I'm in Tahoe. Well,
Nice.
Tahoe adjacent. I'm in Truckee. Out here just hanging out at a friend's house.
Sweet.
They're all out on the dock. And I had to come up back to the house and do the pod. So here I
Okay,
am.
well, I won't keep you too long
They
because
sent
you
me.
want to.
They sent me away saying "Happy talking." All right.
Steven just wants to go back and sit by the dock of the bay.
Or the lake. It's
Or
the
the
Otter
lake.
Lake, dude.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, not the bay, lake. You're right. I'm not good with bodies of water.
Okay.
As I was telling my friend, I didn't even bring this up with you. Saw my good buddy, and you know him too, Victory, while I was in Austin.
Uh-huh.
And we were on the lake in Lake Austin, and for whatever reason, I think he had like a he was bleeding, like he had whatever, like a bug bite or something, and Daniel Victory, my good buddy, was bleeding, and we were like, oh, well, I'm like, you know what's good for that is seawater, and he goes, seawater, and I'm like, yeah, seawater. He goes, do you know where the fuck you are right now? I'm like, oh yeah, we're not at sea, we're at a lake. But dude, I totally forgot on the way to the lake. I totally forgot where he was like, "Oh yeah, how's Steven doing?" I'm like, Steven's doing well, man." He goes, "Yeah, tell him I said swing line." I was like, "Oh, I totally forgot about that."
Oh my god. Forgot about that too. Damn.
Yeah, long
That's a
time ago.
throwback.
We were at a party, and I think for whatever reason we kept asking people about staplers as a joke, as an inside joke between the three of us that
Yeah.
no one
yeah.
else got. And then we asked people on BART, and then we were just annoying the shit out of people.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't remember that at all.
Oh yeah. We were so cool.
Fun times. Fun
Yeah.
times.
Real quick, I wanted to bring up the NFL Hall of Fame ceremony that happened yesterday. It used to be a bigger deal back in the day when I was a kid. My dad loves it. I was texting with him yesterday while he was in the hospital watching the ceremony, and it was like the start of football season when that happened. When they'd have it on prime time and everybody would go there. Yesterday they had Rich Eisen and Kurt Warner from the studio, which I'll get into more detail. That's just the sign of the times right now with NFL Network just dying. But yeah, it was a very brief ceremony. Like today's youths, or Utes, as Vinny would say, for my cousin Vinny, they have no time to learn about history, which annoys the crap out of me. I enjoyed learning about NFL history, but now it's like, all right, get in, get out. Let's get rid of this NFL ceremony as quick as possible. I loved when they would do it at night and it'd be longer, speeches and whatnot. But it just felt rushed. There was only 4 people yesterday, people that I grew up watching. But I don't know. I just don't like how rushed it is now. We're not even the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame ceremony with Ichiro and CC Sabathia. I just felt like it was quick and we move on. It wasn't celebrated as much, in my opinion.
I guess. I really don't know, but maybe they were seeing something where it's just like, okay, no one's really watching this thing.
I mean, yeah. When I was at NFL Network, I kind of overheard executives talking, and the ratings just don't equate well.
Yeah.
So I get it. It's just something I grew up with, and I'm interested in that stuff. But I understand that we are getting dumber as a society.
Yeah, sure, but also it was. I mean, you could if anyone wants to go watch it, you can. I haven't watched all the Hall of Fame speeches yet, but yesterday I watched the entirety of Antonio Gates' speech, which was great.
Yeah.
Pretty much just saying thank you to everyone. I watched the entirety of Ichiro's speech and CC's speech, which were both awesome. Ichiro's was hilarious. So funny, actually. I didn't know. You read stories about how Ichiro's kind of this comedic type, jokey, whatever. but he really put that on display in his Hall of Fame speech. Like when he is talking about how he's like, 3,000 hits, 262 in a single season, a record. All but one of you decided to vote me in here.
Yeah.
And he's like, and by the way, to that one writer, the reservation at my house for dinner for you, your time's expired. Really funny. Good stuff, man.
No, I mean, Ichiro was very good. I thought it was funny. CC Sabathia had a funny line, too, where he stole the Rookie of the Year award from him, which I did not know that CC got called up basically the same time as Ichiro. Did not know that.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
And
don't
even remember that.
Different, too. It's like he was in 98, he was drafted out of Vallejo High School. And then at the time, like Ichiro was 26 when he got called up. So they were in different stages of their lives.
And it's crazy the career that Ichiro had at such a late age. But as far as the Hall of Fame speeches in the NFL yesterday, watch Jared Allen. And I love that this guy from Los Gatos is all about being a cowboy. Like like he's from San Jose, but he's definitely like loving like the redneck life. But it was good. Like he's a really good guy, like it sounds like. I liked him as a player, the Rhinestone Cowboy. I think Dion used to call him back in the day. But he talked about how, if people talk about his accomplishments as a football player, never as, him being a husband or father to his two girls, then he's failed. So I thought that was really powerful. Who else spoke yesterday? Sterling Sharp.
Well, hang on real quick, just to defend him. I mean, if you meet a lot of guys from the South Bay, though, there's a lot of those cowboy types.
Yeah.
Especially him. Like wasn't he raised on like a ranch or something in Morgan Hill? Like he was doing cowboy things. I mean, you don't have to be from a certain place to be a cowboy, Derek.
I know.
It spans across the United States of America.
No, I get it. It's just when you think of California, you don't think of the cowboy lifestyle, but he truly embraces it.
Yeah. So
if he was from Dublin or Pleasanton, I'd be like, all right, I saw a lot of that over there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Livermore, okay, fine.
Livermore,
Dublin, Pleasanton, I'd be like, all right, what are you doing?
Yeah, okay.
What are you doing?
Livermore is more accurate. Yeah, you're right.
Yes.
But yeah, no, like even though like he likes, he's wearing the 10-gallon hat and everything, he's not that cowboy, but he likes to be that cowboy.
Yeah.
Sterling Sharp, like I always think of him as like one of the biggest what ifs in football history. Like him, Barry Sanders, Andrew Luck. He got hurt early in his career with a neck injury, and he probably would have put up numbers like Sherry Rice or Michael Irvin. He probably would have been one of those premier wide receivers of the 90s. So he would have had a Hall of Fame career. He had Hall of Fame seasons, but I don't think with how little he played, he had a Hall of Fame career. But with so many guys playing fewer seasons these days, like Calvin Johnson and maybe Luke Kuechly gets in a couple seasons, a couple years, that it's appropriate for Sterling Sharp to be in there. And I thought it was really, nice of him. He basically gave all the kudos to his brother, Shannon, and gave him his Hall of Fame jacket. What was the line he said? You have to follow if you want to lead. And I thought that's an accurate thing to say.
Yeah.
So the timing of it was very interesting with Shannon Sharp being fired from ESPN, given he got exonerated of all of the rape allegations. But, I think people just don't want to be associated with him anymore. But yeah, I think Shannon also said that he wanted that stuff to come out after the Hall of Fame weekend for his brother. So that happened beforehand, but nevertheless, he showed up and his brother embraced him. So that's nice. At the end of the day, like, I'm an older brother. I'll probably be an older brother for the rest of my life. And what I mean by that is like, I'll always impart wisdom to my younger brother. Yeah. Nick and my younger brother, Andrew. I'm sure that Ian will always impart wisdom to you, Stephen, no matter how old you are. So that's just how older brothers work, unless they don't.
Yeah, Ian's always led by example.
Yeah.
He's never really been one to big on. Well, I guess he has. Yeah, he's got that in him. A little bit. Although I don't know why Nick would take any advice from you. He's a little bit smarter than you are.
I would say a lot smarter than me, but he's not street smart.
Okay.
Like knowing the Berryessa BART station and having me go all the way there. Waste of fucking time. Anyway, Eric Allen also went in yesterday, and I remember him most from the Raiders, that 2000 season where he had 3 pick sixes, shutting down wide receivers with Charles Woodson. And yeah, man, that guy's devoted to the Raiders. Like he was thanking everybody with Silver and Black Productions. He still is part of their broadcast team. So
Yeah.
good to see Eric Allen go in. I thought he was one of the best cornerbacks I ever saw at a young age. And a big thing that Chris Berman brought up was the fact that he didn't have to be a safety at the end of his career. So many guys had to do that, make that conversion, but he stayed a cornerback till he was 35. So pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man.
And then there's Antonio Gates. For a guy that said he wasn't going to cry, he cried a lot during his speech, but I thought it was pretty good for a guy that didn't talk that much. And the fact that he never played college football, to be the first player ever to go into the Pro Football Hall of Fame without playing a snap in college, pretty impressive. So good on Antonio Gates, even though he, pretty much tormented the Raiders for years.
Yeah, pulverized them. Oh, well.
Oh, yeah, he did. All right, let's switch over real quick to the Warriors and Jonathan Kuminga. And I'm over this thing, to be completely honest. Like I just want it to go away because I don't know if it's really holding up a ton, but you would like the Warriors to move forward already and sign Al Horford and DeAnthony Melton. And it sounds like they won't be able to do anything until Jonathan Kuminga makes his mind up. And that won't happen anytime soon because it sounds like he's going to wait till October 1st to sign the qualifying offer from the Warriors, which is $7.9 million. But Shams Charania and Anthony Slater put out an article earlier this week saying that there was a deal on the table from the Warriors, 2 years, $45 million, and Jonathan Kuminga said no thanks. And he put out a social media post saying he's going to bet on himself. And he turned down a contract offer, I think earlier with his time with the Warriors as well. But the fact that he turned this down, I mean, like, I understand there's some pros and cons with it. The reason why the Warriors want to sign him to this deal is because then it's easier to trade him at the trade deadline. Then you can get more out of him because in the NBA, I hate the fact that the salaries have to match up. So when you have a player making $7.9 million, it limits how much you can actually get in return in a trade. So what the Warriors want is for him to sign this contract so they can move him at the trade deadline, get more out of him, but also simultaneously waive a no-trade clause, which I was not aware comes with the territory of being a restricted free agent, which complicates things drastically. So Kuminga wants to play on the $7.9 million deal so he can kind of pick and choose where he gets to go. And he also doesn't want to sign a deal with the Warriors because, as Slater and Shams put it in their article, they've stunted his growth. So, however, we've heard in recent weeks that Steve Kerr's tried to mend fences with him, but it sounds like that's not going to happen. So, and then also Sam Amick came out yesterday or Friday actually, and talked about how the Kings have offered a 3-year, $66 million deal with Malik Monk and a protected first-round pick on the table. But in order to get this deal done and the salaries to match up, Buddy Hield or Moses Moody have to be part of that deal, which I say no thank you. So and it sounds like I think Sam told Willard and Dibbs that basically the Warriors want to move on from Kuminga. It's just what do they have to do? Like they don't want to give up anybody in return, Buddy Hield or Moses Moody. So it's a clusterfuck right now, and I don't know. I'll let you say your piece, and then I'll say mine when it comes to Jonathan Kuminga at this point.
I mean, I'm still paying really no mind to it. I saw the Sam Amick thing, and it was kind of just a follow-up. And really the most telling thing on that article was about the whole no trade clause thing, like as you just mentioned. So that's really the sticking point there. There's no secret that Kuminga wanted his freedom, and whatever the Warriors are offering is not giving him much. But this is turning messy, man. And I did not expect it, though. I guess like my new perspective on this, I didn't realize that he held the type of leverage to actually hold up signing players. I didn't think this would happen. I figured even though there is kind of, how should I, just a low level of importance, I'd say, signing Al Horford and DeAnthony Melton. It's not like they're in a race with a bunch of other teams to do it. But I didn't think he would hold up these types of negotiations. I figured they would get it done by now. And I guess that is his leverage, and you're kind of holding the team there. But even if, like, why would you wait till October though if you're going to sign the qualifying offer? Like, if the Warriors reject any of the Kings and potentially the Suns offers, and they're just done with these sign and trade talks, and they're only focused on Kaminga, why doesn't he sign the qualifying offer early, so he can get other guys in camp, and then they can get ready for the season, and he could venture off in unrestricted free agency or potentially the trade deadline, whatever it is, unless he, obviously acts as a trade because of the no trade clause that's built into that. Um, like I really like, why wouldn't you sign it now? Like, if you kind of know this is going to be the inevitability, why don't you wait till October 1st? It's all a mess.
It is a mess. I think that he wants to keep pushing the Warriors to the point where it's like, I'm talking to the Kings. I'm having meetings with Doug Christie and their brass, and I want to go here. And they're offering me more money than you, which also is. I try to get to the bottom of this, but right now the Suns and the Kings are offering more than what the Warriors are offering, but yet that doesn't mean anything when it comes to restricted free agency, which I thought that's all you needed was a higher offer.
Yeah.
But the NBA, when it comes to free agency, is so complicated. I try to keep up, but I can't.
This is just not what the Warriors should be about. With 2 years left with Curry's deal, like, how is the offseason about what you're going to do with Jonathan Kuminga, who's ultimately going to lead the team? Like, I don't care whether it be in trade, unrestricted free agency. At some point, JK is going to be gone. Why are we so focused on this and not hell bent on trying to get Steph another ring before his ultimate retirement?
That's where I'm at, dude. Where I don't want to make a bad trade. Like, I would take Malik Monk over Jonathan Kuminga, no doubt. But if I have to give up Buddy Hield or Moses Moody in the process, no, I don't want to do that. You like, in a perfect world, Jonathan Kuminga signs this contract with the Warriors, and you could trade him away instantly and get Malik Monk. Or can't the Warriors accept the terms as far as Kuminga signs the deal with the Kings, and then you could do the sign and trade and get more out of the deal? That's what I would do. Like, let's say they give him 3 for 66 with the Kings. You're like, all right, so give me Malik Monk in return, and that way the salaries match up, maybe even a little bit more. Give me Keegan Murray or Keon Ellis, whoever it's going to be. But I'm with you where it's bad business to just say, all right, just trade him and we'll get whatever we can in return. Like, it kind of felt that way. Like, I'm kind of pushing these two things together. But Camilo Duvall being traded at the deadline by Buster Posey. And some people are going to be like, the Giants got fleeced. And then you look at what Camilo Duvall did his first day as a Yankee, and you're like, sure about that? I think also at a certain point, a GM knows this guy, he's not going to help me. It's time to move on. And I think going into the season, Buster Posey knew Duvall needs to make big steps or he's going to get dealt at the trade deadline. And it was mixed this year. So, and could he have gotten more next, this offseason or the trade deadline? Possibly. But I think he was just like, it's time to move on at this point. We've definitely Camilo Duvall has run his welcome out with us and just the fans and the organization in total. That's how I kind of feel right now with the Warriors and Jonathan Kuminga, where it's like, I don't want to just trade him away for pennies or peanuts or whatever. I unfortunately said penis on radio.
Hell yeah.
Close enough. But what are we doing? Like, I'm with you where the next 2 seasons should be about Steph Curry and getting him a championship and building around him. And are we hijacking the last 2 years of Steph Curry's career for a player as insignificant as Jonathan Kuminga? And don't get me wrong, I think that he has a lot of talent and could be a difference maker on a team, but I don't think it's the Warriors with the way they play basketball. So why are they putting up with so much bullshit? And I have to believe that Joe Lacob is the one holding this thing up, where I'm sure Mike Dunleavy and Steve Kerr are like, let's move on already. This is a joke.
Yeah. Agreed, man. I don't really think there's much more you could say about it. Like, we're over a month now from the first day of NBA free agency, and the Warriors are still the only team in the league that hasn't made any acquisition, and they haven't done anything to maximize Steph Curry's NBA championship window. They just haven't done anything to do that
No.
as of yet, and it's really frustrating. I can't stand it.
Yeah, it's ridiculous at this point. All right. Speaking of the Giants, they are actually up right now 7-1 on the Mets, thanks to Rafael Devers. And I said the other day that I don't know if Rafael Devers, it'll matter if he turns things around for the remainder of these games. And I say some things sometimes where I'm in the moment. I'm like, did I really mean that? No, I think that Rafael Devers could actually have a good rest of the 2025 season for the Giants. But will that be enough for them to win games? I think is what I'm getting at. And I don't know. I mean, today, yeah, when they're up 7-1 and he hit a 3-run home run and got an RBI, whatever it was, how many runs he drove in today? Single, okay. It's just always Rafael Devers hits. And then, Adames could at the same time, and then Chapman, but it's never everybody collectively. It's always one guy at once. And you want to see more from Jung-Hoo Lee. You want to see more from Elliot Ramos. And by the way, like you brought up the fact, should they entertain trading Elliot Ramos at the deadline? I don't think they ever got to that point, but I thought it was very interesting. I brought it up with a few guys that came on the show, how Elliot Ramos basically told Bob Melvin, I'm not sitting down. Like it was the day after the infield fly rule where he had that blunder. And Elliot Ramos has had a bunch of blunders of late where it comes to his defense and just not knowing the rules. Base running too. And Bob Melvin in the pregame press conference told the reporters, I told Elliot Ramos he's sitting today. And Ramos came back to me like, how am I going to help the team if I'm just sitting on the bench today? No, I'm playing. And you can take that as him being fiery and, passionate and wanting to play. Or you can also take it as Bob Melvin potentially being a pushover. And I think I like Bob Melvin a lot. I think that they've definitely upgraded from Gabe Kapler. You obviously have a lot of guys that respect him. Obviously, Matt Chapman wouldn't have signed with the Giants had not Bob Melvin been there. But it's hard to defend Bob Melvin lately. And I don't think that he's going to get fired by any means. They picked up the option on his contract. I don't know who would be better. I just think the team's in a funk right now. And, they could potentially win the series against the Mets after they got swept by the Mets and Pirates and are going to play them again and their ballparks. But, just to talk about the trade deadline, I know I'm going all over the place here. Buster Posey did not want to have to do what he did come Thursday. Like, he wanted to add at the deadline. The Rafael Devers move should have been enough where they could compete for a wild card appearance. Instead, with how they finished right before the trade deadline, they had to trade away Tyler Rogers. They had to trade away Camilo Doval. Get something in return for Yaz because he's not really that much of a difference maker. So, I'm sure Giants fans are frustrated right now, but I think it was equal parts disappointing, but also the necessary moves at the trade deadline, given what has transpired recently.
Sure. I think the positive, or not the positive, but I thought the best case scenario was maybe this would light a fire under the Giants because Matt Chapman clearly thought that they were going to be sellers or buyers at the deadline. They thought they were going to add to the roster so they could be in contention. And I think Buster Posey's, subliminal message to the team that's really magnified there is just because, hey, we're trading away these guys. We don't really believe in you, and we're kind of building for the future. But they probably think they can win right now. So I'm hoping it would light a fire under them, and maybe they will build on this after taking 2 of 3 from the Mets. But it was necessary. I think we said it before. Mike Yastrzemski and Tyler Rogers were 2 contracts that were on the move. Wilmer Flores was as well, but I don't know how much they really could have got for Wilmer Flores. I don't know how much value he truly holds. You'd trade him for the sake of trading him. You wouldn't trade him just if you thought you could get a large haul. They got a decent haul, it felt like, for Tyler Rogers. Mike Yastrzemski, sure, but and then obviously the Camilo Doval thing. The Camilo Doval was not all that surprising. The guy's body language, he just never seemed to, I don't know, even when they wanted to make him the premier closer, it didn't seem like he relished that opportunity. He just never, I know he said even keeled and we're all about tranquilo Camilo and all that sort of stuff. I'm like, but he never looked like he was happy. He never seemed fulfilled career-wise with the Giants. And maybe that's just his demeanor. Maybe that's just who he is. But it felt like they needed to move on. So I wasn't really surprised when I saw Duvall's name moved there. That's a sell move for sure. Rogers and Yastrzemski, like I think with the bull, Rogers has been really good for the bullpen this year. There's no doubt about that. But they could get by without a relief pitcher, or Yastrzemski, who's a plus defender. But let's face it, like I just watched the Greg Maddux documentary, right, the one on MLB Network,
Yeah.
and they talked about how with that rotation with him, Glavine, and John Smoltz, they were never going to go on a losing streak. It felt like with Mike Yastrzemski and potentially even Wilmer Flores, it feels like those are kind of like rally killers, you know? Like they'd step to the plate, they'd be rolling, and then you're just like, oh no, here comes a pop up. Oh, here comes a strikeout. Still kind of feels that way with Flores. I'm not going to lie to you. He's been underperforming since like the middle of May.
Since he went off against the A's for 3 home runs.
Yeah. But like those two, I think would have been even moved at the deadline. But I think if they were contending, they also would have been buyers at the deadline too, and included them in a trade. So I actually think those guys were going to be off the team regardless. I just think they, instead of trying to package them in a deal for one star player, they just decided to sell them to different teams and then just get some prospects in return. So I wasn't too surprised by the deadline. It sucks that they are in the position that they're in. And hey, look, also the jury's still out on Posey. I think as a head of baseball operations right now. You know,
Of course.
I think there's just so much of look at what Posey has to work with, and we're just like, well, I mean, he built this team, and the team's performing the way that it is right now. So I don't know. I think the jury's still out on him too.
I really can't say, though, he built this team. It's a lot of Farhan a year ago while adding, Willie Adames and Justin Verlander and Rafael Devers. Like I said from the get-go, I've been saying this ad nauseum. It's an evaluation season. I think that Buster wanted to be equal parts competitive, but also looking at what he has. And he's going to say all the right things. He's competitive in his nature, obviously. But at the same time, if his team failed, he was going to probably do a bigger sell. And this was a soft sell, I would say, at the deadline.
Yeah.
I think they got more for Tyler Rogers. I think with Camilo Doval, I think they saw what they had, and that deal came right at the finish line, right at the deadline, like right at 3:00. So they probably waited on that and sat on it and were like, are we better off with Doval for the rest of the season, or do we just take what the Yankees are offering us with all these prospects? And some guys, and I saw a lot of Yankees fans be like, those guys aren't shit. Who's to say? I never know when it comes to prospects in baseball, but you got 4 guys for one Camilo Doval. I'm sure Buster wrestled with it. And at the very end, he was like, all right, let's do it. And Tim Webb brought this up. I think it's true. I don't think any pitcher has been impacted by the pitch clock as much as Camilo Doval. I think it probably fucked with his head.
Yeah, for sure.
And he's lost a ton of confidence. There's times where he gained it this season, but for the most part, he has not been the same guy since his All-Star day.
Point.
So
it's a great point.
Yep. Other moves at the trade deadline. I thought that the Padres did a lot. Getting Ryan O'Hearn. They got Ramon Laureano and Mason Miller. I mean, I know that we joke, that was probably etched in stone as soon as he was good with the A's. But that's just typical A's. They have so much talent on their team right now that in time, I think they're going to be a very good team. But, I thought things were going to change at Sacramento. Nope. Same old, same old. When a player is good, the A's will ship him off.
I mean, you did get the 3rd overall prospect in baseball.
You did. And I've heard people make that argument. But at the same time, it's just, it's not real. Like they gave out the contracts to Brent Rooker and who was the pitcher that we talked about recently that's unhappy
Severino.
Severino. They paid him. They made him the highest paid A of all time, but it doesn't mean anything. Like at the end of the day, if the A's aren't performing well, they'll trade away their potential stars of the future just to keep doing this never-ending cycle. It's annoying, but whatever. Yeah. I don't give a shit anymore.
Yeah, well, it's a big deal because, the Padres are going all in again, and they think that this is going to be the same core that could beat the Dodgers or any other team in the National League. So I don't know.
Yeah, and Tim also made a good point the other day where he was talking about how in the time frame that Juan Soto was traded for by the Padres, and they traded away all those prospects. Those prospects became, they gained new prospects and were able to trade away those pieces to get more players. And the Giants are never able to do that type of thing. We lost you. No mic. No audio. What happened? What'd you do? You took your headphones off.
Hang on.
There we go.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. The AirPods just ran out of battery. I forgot
gotcha.
mine, and I used Jesse's, and they have a short battery life. I got to talk to her about that.
They do.
They really do.
No, I mean, even mine. Like, AirPods don't last that long. Okay, real quick, I wanted to bring this up, too. The Bryce Harper, Rob Manfred thing. He didn't throw ass in his face like Steven wants to do with Rob Manfred, but the fact that that Bryce Harper told Rob Manfred when it came to the topic of salary cap in baseball, he told him to get the fuck out of the locker room. Like, the details of this are incredible, where Rob Manfred usually makes the rounds every year to talk to baseball teams, and he talked to the Phillies, and he talked about the finances of the league right now, and that the salary cap, even though he never mentioned the word salary cap, it could be on the horizon. And Bryce Harper decided to, as a guy that makes a shit ton of money, get in his face and told him to get the fuck out of the locker room, which hilarious that if you read the article, Stephen, with Jeff Passan, Nick Castellanos, in a moment of humor, while they're getting into it, a shouting match between Rob Manfred and Bryce Harper, Nick Castellanos goes, "Wait, I have more questions, guys."
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's great.
It is great, but what other commissioners are going to be told that by star players? Like, you think Adam Silver is told, "Get the fuck out of here," or Roger Goodell?
No, not at all. But credit to him, though. He stood up to him. He
did.
Still responded in a way that wasn't like, "Hey, I'm going to leave the locker room." Like, no, we're going to talk about this, because a lockout is pretty inevitable. And I also think the crux of that conversation, the whole salary cap thing, like, that's what they want, right? They want a salary cap on the sport. Players think that that's not going to create as much competition as they think. As a matter of fact, it's going to not make players care as much about a 162 game season. And also just, it's going to give franchises more value, because ultimately they're going to be bringing in more money that they don't have to pay to the players. I don't think a salary cap is needed. I think it's what every baseball fan's been talking about. I think they need to come up with a salary floor.
Yeah.
I think a team needs to spend a minimum amount, and I don't know what that minimum has to be. They're probably never going to go for that. And I think, Derek, the way that it's looking, I think we are trending towards a lockout in 2026. Like, I almost think that's a done deal. Like, I think we have 2 more years of baseball, and then after that, it's going to get ugly.
Didn't we have this just a couple of years ago where we thought we may not even play baseball? Was it 2021?
It was 2020. It was the COVID thing.
No. I know that, but afterwards there was actual, like, I want to say it was 2022, where we didn't know if there was actually going to be resolution with the CBA and whatnot.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't remember that, but I think we're trending towards that way.
And that's unfortunate, because baseball's been on the increase this season, and it would be detrimental if it fell back to kind of no, the league doesn't know what the fuck they're doing again. So
right.
Yeah, you could be right, Stephen, that we're trending in that direction. Real quick, I wanted to bring this up because I've loved NFL Network for quite some time. I worked there for 3 seasons, and basically it is dead. ESPN and NFL Network, according to Andrew Marchand, how do you say his name? Marchand, whatever. The guy that writes about media stuff for The Athletic. I think The Athletic. Yeah, I think so. Basically, we knew this for quite some time, but the NFL favors ESPN over their own network, which when I was working there, if you had ESPN on in your little cubicle, someone would come over to you and be like, "You need to change that right now," which I thought was ridiculous. But that's how much the rivalry was deep at the studio, because they were trying to, they were the league's owned station. And the fact is that Roger Goodell, in a press conference, I think a year ago or a few years ago, was honest and said, "I think that our own network lacks a lot in comparison to ESPN," which I'm sure that crushed a ton of people. And I've heard a lot of friends get laid off in recent years. I'm glad I left when I did, because there is really no future there. ESPN is going to take over that station. Now Scott Hansen will work for ESPN. I'm not sure how it's going to work. I believe you like. I don't know if NFL Network's going to go away on your cable provider or YouTube TV, but it sounds like it's going to be run through ESPN's new streaming service. So, the rivalry of Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport and Tom Pelissero and Mike Garafolo, those days are over where they're all going to be working together now. So it's basically just ESPN monopolizing sports media. I don't know how I feel about that, but I'm just sad because that network was its own thing for 20 years, and now it's basically ESPN's property.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't like that at all.
Nope.
I think every sport should have its own network. I think MLB Network does a really good job. I think NHL Network flies under the radar. They do a really good job. And NFL Network's kind of gone downhill in recent years. But, yeah, I don't like the power going to ESPN. They have a monopoly over everything.
Exactly.
And what are they going to do? Put, I can't think of any fake Barstool names, but what are they going to do? Like come up with a podcast and, buy the podcast out so they could have the podcast, do a whole bunch of NFL stuff. Maybe they'll buy out Just Your Opinion, man, dude. We'll have our own show. I
would gladly sell out for them. But at the same time, that's what they're doing now is they any competition they have, McAfee they got to him. Rich Eisen, they got to him. NFL Network. Now they're not going to go to former employees like Colin Cowherd and Dan Patrick. They'll gladly just compete with those guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, if they can monopolize the market that is sports and really football, they're going to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Jesse and the friends are back.
Yes, they are.
Okay, then we'll wrap up quickly. You have a Jackass of the Week, Steven?
I don't actually.
Okay.
I told you that before the show. I was like, I don't think I have one.
Okay, I got an honorable mention, and I'll get to my main one.
Okay.
Honorable mention, Tom Brady. Did you see that he writes an article now weekly? Like it's like a little, like he has a little forum, I guess, on whatever website, and he writes what he thinks about in sports. He actually wrote a really good article, or an essay, or whatever. That. Probably not. He probably had someone help him. And if anybody that had an issue with what Scotty Scheffler said a couple weeks ago, obviously Tom Brady would have an issue with it. This is the same guy that had an issue with Daniel Jones wanting to be released from the Giants. And he said, well, if I was Daniel Jones, I would just compete every day and try to get back on the field. It's like, Tom, you were, obviously you were given a starting job because Drew Bledsoe got hurt, but you were always going to be the starting quarterback for the Patriots. So you never had to think about that shit. Scotty Scheffler, you brought it up, Steven, had a great press conference where he put things in perspective of his life and how he can win a major and it's awesome for a day. And then, he has to think about dinner that night or take care of his children. It's not that he's not excited or happy with his accomplishments. It's just in the grand scheme of things, he's going to prioritize his family over golf. And Tom Brady wrote a whole article about how, why can't you do both? And why can't you really, enjoy being a father and a husband and at the same time be at the top of your craft? And I get what he's saying, but at the same time, I'm like, different strokes for different folks. You obviously prioritize being the best. Basically, what he wants to do is he wants to instill greatness in his children, so he always wants to be the best at what he does. But what Scotty Scheffler's saying is, I just want to take care of my kids, and someday I'll walk away from golf.
I mean, not to get in on his personal life, but, TB12 kind of got divorced.
Yeah, exactly.
This
whole thing. Yeah.
Sorry, but you can have he's wanting to avoid the exact thing that you dealt with.
Exactly. So that's why I say, I get what Tom's perspective is, but at the same time, it's different for everybody, man. You want to be the best at what you do all the time, and that's great, and that may sacrifice relationships with your children and wife.
Yeah.
While Scotty Scheffler's like, I'd rather have my kids and wife than playing golf, which I respect.
Also, he's dominating it. He doesn't have. He can combine. I guess combine is for lack of a better term. Just combine both things.
Yeah.
So
basically, my Jackass of the Week is Tom Brady for having an opinion on this thing. We just let it be. It doesn't.
Lovely.
You don't need to concern yourself with that. Sorry, that's my honorable mention. My real Jackass of the Week. I got to be honest. Everyone up in arms over this Sydney Sweeney thing, the American Eagle ad. well, come on. Like there's real things to be offended by in life. Like, are we really offended because she says she has good genes and it's because really her genes? Like, come on. It's for a lot of shit that's going out there right now that's like anti-Semitic and racist. Like, we're talking that is Nazi propaganda. I think that's ridiculous. So anybody
Yeah, a
that's
little
offended
bit.
by that, I'd say that's jackass worthy.
Yeah, I could agree with you. I don't know. I didn't even get like didn't rise any reaction out of me. Like I saw I saw how people were responding to it. I was like, damn, this must be bad. Then I saw the ad and I was like, that's not okay.
Exactly.
That's thinking way too deep into
It's way
it.
too deep.
It's jeans, pants, wearable stuff. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah. Come on now, everybody. Relax.
Yeah.
I don't have anything for pop culture catch up because I haven't seen anything lately. I was supposed to see The Naked Gun over the weekend, but didn't get around to doing so. I would just tell everybody I hope to see it tomorrow. I think I'm going to see it with the Dirty Work crew. It's a tight 85 minutes. I've heard great things. People are saying it's hilarious. Have you seen it yet, Steven?
Nope.
Okay. I would just tell everybody we need more comedies in theaters. And I'm guilty of this because I didn't do it this opening weekend. Just support comedies because we don't get enough now in movie theaters. It's always the same crap now. It's a big blockbuster action movie or a Marvel movie or whatever. I want to laugh again in a movie theater with strangers. So go support comedies. It's a quick 85 minutes. It sounds like it's amazing. My friends texted me yesterday saying, I'm going to love this movie. So next time I'm on, I hope to give a review of The Naked Gun.
Give a review? What if I don't see it by then?
Have you seen it? Happy Gilmore 2 then yet?
Yeah, I watched that.
Okay, what'd you think?
Yeah, that was going to be my pop culture catch up. It was fine. I don't know. I think it leaned too much on the old stuff from the first movie and didn't try to make enough of it being its own thing. Like, I just didn't like the storyline about the Maxi Golf stuff. I didn't like it. It was dumb, and the tournament was dumb. I was kind of checked out of the end, really.
Yeah, I felt the same way. Like, the whole thing with them getting, like, back surgery so they can have a bigger wind-up when they tee off, I thought was dumb. At the end of the day, I enjoyed, excuse me, the first half of the movie. I will say, and I don't know if you feel the same way, Julie Bowen getting killed off the first 5 minutes of the movie, I was like, what are we doing? That seems a little mean-spirited.
Yeah. I actually thought that was funny.
It was funny because it had to add to his pain. But at the same time, I was like, I wanted some Bowen. You could add it easily when they were divorced.
Yeah.
It adds to the comedy, I guess. It was a ridiculous thing of her getting killed by him, hitting his golf ball.
I thought the golfers were funny. I thought the golf cameos were great. Scheffler in the jail and Xander Schauffele was all time at the dinner. That's what she said.
Yeah.
The funny part about that is Schauffele does not have a personality on the course. Like, you watch that guy on like the Full Swing documentary, you watch him after winning like the British Open. He does not exude any flair.
Charisma?
Yeah, charisma, flair, any of that. Like, he's just, I don't know. He gives the cliche stuff.
Right.
Like, you wouldn't think that he would be one of the funniest people in an Adam Sandler movie, but I thought he was. It made me laugh.
Yeah, I thought John Daly's is more than a cameo. He was in the movie quite a bit. I thought him being basically a moocher living in his house was funny. But yeah, like I'm with you. I got disinterested in the second half. I thought way too many cameos. I didn't care about Bad Bunny being the caddy.
He was funny.
It was okay. Just like, I don't need Reggie Bush popping up for the sake of just for the sake of Reggie Bush being there, or Kid Cudi. I thought it was just unnecessary. So I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the first half of it. Will I watch it again? Probably not. Was it a total cash grab? Yes. Was it the biggest stream movie in Netflix history? Yeah. So good success for Adam Sandler. I hope he doesn't do like, let's do The Waterboy 2 now, or let's do Longest Yard 2. Like, just make some crappy stuff with your friends in great locations and just keep making money for Netflix and yourself.
He's been good stuff before that, though. Like, he had a little stretch where you make more like Uncut Gems, be a real actor.
Well, that's totally different. I mean, Uncut Gems, and I thought it was very out of place. The director of Uncut Gems, Benny Safdie, played the Maxi guy, and I was like, this is so out of place for him. Like, he's actually like been in Oppenheimer and like Academy Award winning movies, and now he's playing like some douche in an Adam Sandler movie.
Yeah.
So if Adam Sandler does, like, he's a really good actor. I love Punch Drunk Love and Uncut Gems. I think he's great in those movies. And like when he's writing a movie, it's not the best. So
Yeah.
I would say it was fun, but was it amazing? No.
No, I'm not going to watch it a second time. I'll say that.
Exactly. All right, everybody. That's going to be it for today. We'll let Steven go back to the lake. It's a lake, right?
It is a lake, but honestly, I'm going to get on the road here because we got to go home.
Oh, fair enough. Okay. All right, to everybody in the chat. Thanks to AJ Cruz. Thanks to Skills popping up late, but better than nothing. Thanks to Lauren F. Thanks to new guy, Brandon Halam. Thanks to Pat H. Thanks to Ernie One. Thanks to Rocka New Era for a little bit of time. And thanks to all of you who reached out the last couple of days, saying well wishes to my dad and whatnot. I'll keep you guys updated on everything with him. But thank you guys for, reaching out. That meant a lot. All right, everybody. We'll see you on Wednesday. Steven, say what you always say.
This is just on a video, man.
The fuck was that?
This is my Adam Sandler.
Sound like Scooby-Doo.